Hello, you all. Welcome back to my channel. This is Sheba, and I'm on here to share two journaling pages that I did in my Canson art journal. But before I get started, I'd like to thank all of my new and existing subscribers for coming onto my channel and watching my videos. And I hope that you're all having a great weekend. Happy Sunday to you all. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and share with you all what I use, and then I'll share with you all what I created. So I did use some Distress Oxide and Faded Jean, Lost Shadow, and Vintage Photo. I also used some Black Soot embossing powder. This right here is Glossy Accents that I use. I love this little small bottle, and this came from the Tim Holtz and Christmas in July collage kit. I did order that kit that him and Simon Says Stamps did for his collage class for Christmas in July. So I still have some of this left over, so I use that. I also use some texture paste and opaque, some Vintage Photo Distress ink, also some Wendy Vecchi archival ink and potting soil, and then I use Distress archival ink and Black Soot. And then I also use some of these game spinners. I've had this in my stash for some time. I just bought them, didn't know when I was going to use them, but it came in use today, this morning. So I use these. And then I use the stencil right here, which is THS084. So I use that. And then the main focal point of my page is the Professor CMS 395. And I pretty much use all the stamps here except for the stamp here one. So yes, I've had this in my stash for some time. I bought it and I was like, you know, don't know when I'm going to play with it, but this morning was perfect. I decided to play with the Professor. So that's what I used to create my first spread. So let me just move this to the side a little bit so I can share with you all how my spread turned out. And like I said, just having a little playtime, just playing with my items that I purchased. So here is my spread that I created in my Canson Mixed Media Art Journal. And I love the way it turned out. Like I said, just having a little playtime. So what I did was I took the Distress Oxide spray and I just sprayed the background. I started off like with the Lost Shadow, and then I went in with the Faded Jean, which kind of took over the Lost Shadow. So I sprayed some more Lost Shadow down on it between the layers of drying. And then once it was dry and I was kind of satisfied with the background, then I used some Vintage Photo, went in with that and just did a little spraying, you know, a little spritzing on the background. So I don't know if you can see it in camera, but that's what I did. I also took the Distress ink and Vintage Photo, and I did go around the edges to distress the edges. And then the stenciling, I did the stenciling here and here, and then I took Distress Vintage Photo crayon, and I just kind of rubbed it on top and smushed it in just to kind of mute down some of that stark white on it because I wanted some brown in here. And then I used the archival ink and potting soil. Yeah, potting soil. I stamped that here. And then he stamped with Black Soot Distress ink. And I actually did him first, stamped him on some watercolor cardstock first, and then I colored him in with Distress color pencils. And then I was like, you know what, let me just stamp him on the page and see how I like that on top of the stamp image that I had stamped down first from the stamp. So I used that, I stamped that first, and then I stamped him on top. And then I stamped this image right here, the Tuesday, July 11th, 1950. I stamped it at the bottom. So I like the way the stamp image is coming through, you know, his face and everything. And then I used some glossy accents to fill in the glasses. And then I heat embossed the other stamp from the stamp set, right here, the little clock. I heat embossed it with the Ranger Black embossing powder. And then I just took a little game piece and I just stuck it through there, and you can move the game piece around. So yeah, so I love the way this page turned out. Like I said, just a little playtime this Sunday morning. Yeah, so this is my spread for this today, and then I'm gonna share with y'all what I used for my first spread that I started Friday night, and then I finished it yesterday morning. So let me move some of this stuff to the side and share with you all that spread. Okay, so let me move this out the way. Okay, so the next spread So I did use some alcohol inks. So I used alcohol ink. I used this one right here, which is Ember. I also used the dandelion. And then I used this one right here, which is Espresso. I also used some Distress Oxide Spray and Walnut Stain. I used some Distress Mica Stain and Jack-o'-lantern. Distress Spritz, I used Walnut Stain, Bundle Sage, and also Spice Marmalade. And then I did use a little bit of the black soot as well. So I used that, and then I also used Distress Oxide. So I used Distress Oxide and Forest Moss, and also Walnut Stain. And then I used the sticker book, metallic sticker book by Tim Holtz. I used that for a sentiment. I also used the this one is, let me see, this is the Vault Lovebirds. So I just used these two birds right here. And then I also used from this die set the Vault Boutique. And I just used some of the butterflies and also this strip right here to make a banner, but I didn't use it as a banner. And then this is the new embossing folder that Tim Holtz released, the 3D Texture Phase Large A5. And I used that. And this is Foliage Large. And then the main focal point of the spread is from his just his new Halloween release. Classics, and this is the Leaf Fragments that he brought back out. So I use that as well. All right, so let me go ahead and share with you all and see if I can remember what I did. Let me flip to the page. Okay, so here we go. So here is what I created on this spread. And I love the way this turned out. I don't know if you can see the spritz in the background. So let me explain what I did. So I did use the Distress Mica Stain and Jack-o'-lantern. So I just did around the edges because I wanted the orange. This is like more, you know, fall theme. So I went around the edges with that. And then I used that embossing folder, the foliage. So I cut the watercolor paper down to the size that I want. And this is not Tim Holtz. It's just regular Amazon water paper that I have. And so then what I did was took the forest moss and the walnut stain, and I just kind of smushed it on my desk and just wet it and then just kind of dipped this in there until I got it how I wanted it to be. And then I took the Distress Spritz and I sprayed it on there, and I sprayed the Spice Marmalade last. So that's more what you see, if you can see that in the camera. Then what I did was I took some Yupo paper for my alcohol ink. So I did those three colors like I showed you, the dandelion, the ember, and the espresso. So I just mixed, you know, did those colors that I wanted for some fall leaves. And then I took the embossing folder and I put the leaves, once I die cut them out, put them in the embossing folder and ran it through my die cut machine to give the impression on the leaves. And Tim Holtz did show that in his video. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. But then I also took, once I did the background page, I ran it through the embossing folder as well, but I put archival black ink on here first on the raised side, and then ran this through to give the impression of the black inside the grooves of the page, if you see if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what I did here. I know it's kind of hard to see in camera. And so then I just cut out the birds and the butterflies, so I positioned the leaves how I want them to be. So I put those there, trying to get the glare out. So I did that. I put the leaves here, three right here, three of the large ones here, and then I put the two smaller ones right here and down here at the bottom. And then we have I use black cardstock that I have in my stash, and I cut the butterflies and then the birds. And then here is that strip from, that's actually a banner to be made into a banner, but I just left it long at the bottom, and I put the sentiment, not all who wander are lost. And that is this spread. So yes, you guys, so those are my 2 spreads that I created this weekend. Let me just flip back here 1 second. Just, you know, having some mixed media fun, playing in my journal. So yeah, so let me see, let me get to the page, 1 moment. Yeah, let me hold my thumb there. Okay. So yeah, so here's the first, well, the spread I did this morning, just, you know, having some mixed media fun. And then the spread I did, that I started on Friday night and finished it yesterday morning. So yes, you guys, so this is my Canson journal that I got from Amazon that I had shared with you in the last video that I did. So just to kind of flip through real quick, this was just something I did, you know, during St. Patrick's Day, just having some fun. And then here is my letter board that I did using Tim Holtz dyes and distress sprays and inks. And then here's my Hello Fall with Mr. Arthur that I shared in last week's. I shared these 2 in last Sunday. And then here is what I created this past weekend, or this weekend. Friday night I did that and finished it yesterday morning. And I'll just skip some pages, then I wanted to do some more play this morning. So yes, you all, so I hope that you all enjoyed what I come on here to share with you all in my Canson journal. All mixed media, neon inks, distress spritz, distress oxide ink, distress oxide spray, archival ink, dyes, stickers. Yes, just having fun, you guys, just playing in the journal. So again, I hope that y'all enjoy what I come to share with you all. I do want to thank you all so much for watching. You all have a great upcoming week, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.